So, welcome to the final examination. Before I start, I want to thank the people. First of all, I'd like to thank Alan and Vincent for being in this class all year long. You have been consistent and hardworking throughout the year, so thank you very much. I'm sorry if now and then I lose my temper, but I really appreciate your dedication. I really appreciate the questions you've asked in this class. I would like to thank the school for giving me this platform, this classroom, and this smart board for the past 4 years. Believe it or not, but I've been here for 4 years in this classroom. The school has been very generous with me, letting me teach whatever I want, including the great books, including geostrategy, including game theory, including secret history. I'll be leaving the school at the end of this week. So this is my second last class. Tomorrow will be my last class. The reason why I'm leaving the school is I feel that I have a global audience, and I want to grow this global audience by going out into the world and engaging people outside in the world. So I want to focus more on my global audience. I've been very thankful to the school. And third and lastly, I would like to thank my Substack community. So most of my income this past year has come from Substack. The subscribers there have been very generous to me. Because of the generosity, I've been able to keep my YouTube free of monetization. I've been able to avoid sponsors. I've been able to. I've just been able to focus my time.
Hopefully that's difficult.
I would like to thank the founding members today by first of all pointing out their generosity, but also by entering.
Because me too, bro.
Starting next week, I will do a monthly Substack live stream with both founding members as well as paid subscribers. So once a month, it'll be founding members, and then once a month, it will also be paid subscribers. I'll talk more about that later on. Okay? So this is the end of one journey, but the beginning of another journey. And don't worry, I will continue doing what I do because I love teaching. I love sharing my ideas with the world. I love learning. And I want to be doing this for the next 50 years. That's my vision, to structure it so that I can continue to influence people the next 50 years. All right, so let's start the final examination. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read all the questions from the founding members on Substack. There's a lot. And after that, we will look at some questions from YouTube that my wife, who is here today doing the filming. I also need to thank my wife for filming and editing this class.
Nice.
She's here and she's helped me pick out some questions, and it's pretty random.
I would forget.
So I apologize if your question was not paid, but there were just too many questions, and for the sake of time, we just picked a few. But we'll probably run over time today. Okay, just one and one. All right, let's start. So this is from Nomi. And he or she says, I don't have a question, but just a thank you. And this is the name of the Oregon Beach Center, Lumina Light. And this person is also working to raise consciousness. So thank you so much for your generosity. All right, now we move to Karina. And Karina says that based on my lectures, it seems the U.S. is pretty screwed. Yes. They need other countries to buy U.S. treasuries. Yes. Israel is not loyal. Israel probably wants to work with other countries to establish their data. Yes. Okay. Russia is trying to get a dollar collapse and trying to exert its own dominance as well as its own people. Yes. And China is just trying to figure out what is in its best advantage. Okay, so that's what geopolitics is. It's a game. Everyone's just looking for the optimal strategy. There's no loyalty. There are no friends. Okay, it's a game. All right. So the U.S. is currently in ways to make these AI data centers, um, and they need to control the population. Yes. Okay. So there are three questions. What are we to do? I understand we should build communities, but what does this look like? Pretty much anyone who has US dollars would be in a world of hurt. I mean, how will we buy food? What do you think our world will look like? Okay, so it's hard for you to predict what the world will look like because it hasn't happened yet. Right?
Right, that's what makes predictions impressive, brother.
The structure of the world. It's also important to remember that we
retrograde planets, check.
That we want. Right?
So the moon is always retrograde, Capricorn.
There's more electricity. It doesn't mean that we start thinking that start killing each other. What it means is that we change mentality because the circumstances of our lives have changed. So we start caring about each other more. So what happens is maybe before in your apartment complex you didn't know your neighbor. The lights go all out. So what you do is you open the door and you go meet your neighbors and say, hey, let's figure this out. Okay? So the thing to keep in mind is that fundamentally we humans are extremely creative and extremely resilient. The spark in us hasn't been activated yet. But in the circumstances that are require us, we will become creative. And this has been true consistently throughout human history. So what we need to do is recognize that what makes us who we are our creativity, our resilience, our empathy, our imagination. This is who we are.
Our fingerprints.
Really. And the idea that we are economic machines.
Logos, Karaka.
Cool. And what you hear about is buying stuff and making money. That's just a indoctrination that we have to suffer in recent history. Okay? So what's really important to keep in mind is that our greatest power is our imagination. So what we should be doing is working hard to build our imagination. And that just means learning through books, but also learning by listening to other people, experiencing viewpoints that are different from yours,
right,
and by experiencing things in the world.
That's why,
right? For example, traveling more, or doing things that are beyond your comfort zone.
Oh, bangers, it's banger.
Who do you believe would rise to the next world power, and how do you believe they would start the course around the world after such an epic fall in the US dollar? Would be money backed by gold and other resources again? So I talked about this before, but the US dollar as a global reserve currency is a historical accident. And it's never happened before in human history. And quite honestly, it probably will never happen again in human history. So what's the US dollar for? It does not mean that the global economy collapses. It just means that global reserve currency will probably transform into a basket of currencies, which includes US dollar, which includes gold, which probably would include British pounds, Swiss francs, a basket of currencies, right? So humans will continue to trade, but it will not be as convenient as before. Okay? So, and this is a process that doesn't happen like now, or tomorrow. It will take many years, many decades for this process to play out.
Heard.
Is there any way to get out of the Ponzi scheme?
More than 10 years?
You're in it. This is a really good question. The answer is that the Ponzi scheme has collapsed before you get out of it. The mission Ponzi scheme collapses when the US dollar, or when the US government defaults on its debt. Okay, that's what a Ponzi scheme looks like. And at that point, the US dollar basically were very little, almost nothing. It's gonna happen one day. It's a question of like when. All right, and it may sound painful, but again, we humans are extremely resilient. Just because there's more electricity, just because we can't drive our cars, just because we can't buy anything, does that mean we'll starve to death?
Well, right, because you can fast, bro.
So let me give you an example where I take 100 people from different countries. For whatever reason, I transport you all to the desert.
Mars fast, bro. Dude, whole time Mars ruled McJuck.
You'll just fight each other because you're
past tense.
It won't mean that you starve to death because you don't speak the same language. What it'll mean is that somehow, some way, the 100 of you will create a new language and intuitively understand how to work together. You figure out that, you know what, I'm a good carpenter, so I'll go make wood.
I'll go.
And another person like, well, I'm good at singing, so I'll make songs to entertain us at night. Okay? It will happen
I honestly forgot where Algo is, honestly. That's my bad.
Dynamically. And that's what makes it so creative, okay, or empathy for each other. We don't have to speak the same language. We're still able to work together. Right? So don't worry about the end of the world. It just means a new world comes into being. Right? All right.
No excuses.
All right. This is from Hidden History Society. Okay. This is very long, but to summarize, what he's saying is that Freemasons were critical in America's founding, and Benjamin Franklin was a Freemason. Alexander Hamilton, mother
organization issues, am I right?
Which was Scottish and Jewish as well. And
I just don't want to move
there's lots of
this.
these linkages between the Freemasons, between the Jewish faith, and these founding fathers. And I would say don't put too much emphasis on this, okay? There's going to be these overlaps, convergences everywhere. Doesn't mean they're not important.
Rendering.
Never.
Rendering.
Sorry.
All right.
Rendering.
And then he goes on and says that,
Lincoln check.
look, Engels and Marx congratulated Lincoln upon his re-election
For the how not for
the extent of their publications. Okay, what does that mean? It means that people with talent, people with ideas, respect each other. Okay, it just means that I'm
not a
person.
loser at all.
I'm just interested in anyone who proposes new ideas,
way too deep.
and who does great things, and who's an interesting person. Okay, it doesn't mean that we're all conspiring together. It just means that
Capricorn's always our conspiracy, bro.
for new ideas.
Capricorn conspiracy theory.
Page 1. The first page.
They're all on the same page, bro.
Okay.
Second page.
Messed up, bro.
Basically, do you think these American leaders were much assets, and can you explain British capital shifting America from 1888 transatlantic period culminating to Bretton Woods and America taking over the empire after World War II? Okay, so this is a really good question. Okay, first of all, Lincoln, Franklin, and Hamilton were not English assets. They were not English spies. But did they have contacts in the British Empire? Of course, because Britain was the most powerful country at this time. So there's going to be a lot of overlap. Okay, there's going to be a lot of shared affinities, a lot of shared interests. Did they have French contacts? Yes. Did they have Canadian friends? Yes.
Really? Oh.
All right. So the world of the is very, very small, and they're always in contact with each other. Right? So it is true that British capital after the Civil War, right? And this led to the founding of the Federal Reserve, which led to Bretton Woods. Okay, so what happened was that the British were getting filthy rich of India and China, right? So they basically enslaved India and deindustrialized India and churned and just stole $20 from India. They enslaved China with opium. They're stealing $20 from China. And now what they have to do is invest their money somewhere. And the best place in the world to invest your money at this time would be America. You can also invest in South America, but the Americans were much harder working. They were much more ambitious. So a lot of the money went to America. Now, at this time in history, the Americans didn't like the British because they fought a war to get rid of the British, right? So the idea that you have all these trillions of dollars coming into America to buy out America, the Americans wouldn't have dealt with this. So the solution was to have agents. People like Rockefeller, Carnegie, disguised as entrepreneurs, right? They were poor, and through their hard work, through their merit, they became billionaires. That was the so they were creation of the city of London. They were creation of British capital in order to pull off America. And they were so powerful that they were then able to influence American politics and then create the Federal Reserve, which then after World War II led to the Bretton Woods system. Okay, so that's what happened.
That already happened.
So this is something that is still impacting America today. And many people who support Trump believe that Trump is a messiah figure who's come to help America rid itself of the disease of transnational capital to get rid of the British, okay, to fight another 1776. There are millions of Americans who believe
I
this.
think I'm in a
Right?
rocky
And they have a
anti-Basho,
point.
bro.
All right. From Zoran.
Maybe probably I'm or
I should be able to be up.
So he asked, it seems that the world is collapsing.
I'm tripping.
Is there a way out of this collapse? The world is a fat person, but is it possible for the fat person to maybe work out, lose weight, and become healthier? Is it possible we take this step? If we can imagine, we use our imagination, is it possible for us to save ourselves before we kill ourselves?
Or something.
And this is a really good question.
Yeah,
And
Beautiful.
first of all, I would say it's unlikely.
this guy.
Okay? Because the reality is that, yes, in theory,
Aries or Capricorn?
but in reality, if you just look around the people around you, most people don't change. Okay? I would say all the nations in the world, the nation that is the most resilient, that is most creative, that could change possibly, is America. So, should America change? Possibly. But
2 minutes, 20 seconds.
it would take tremendous leadership. A figure, a Messiah figure, would have to rise to rally American people in order.
But he can't have any riz, bro. If he has any riz, dude, it won't work,
but I
bro.
think it is very unlikely. The
Canonically,
problem with this metaphor of an individual who thinks he's fat and wants to change is you need to recognize that a nation is a collection of vested interests. Okay? And there's this conflict among these vested interests.
subscribe to Predictive History.
Please. What leads to decline. And the reason why it leads to decline is they're so focused on their internal conflict, they ignore the larger picture.
I hear you.
And they only win if they're focused on winning. So they're willing to do whatever it takes to win, even if it means the destruction of their own civilization.
Okay, come on,
Right? They're willing to sacrifice anything in order to win.
She needs to sort out her priorities.
A billionaire is a person who is willing to kill his own grandmother for money. Okay? That's what a billionaire is.
Prudence.
Oh, come on, he outspaced me, bro. Dude, I don't get outspaced. I get outspaced timed, bro.
Right. Why do you never mention Vedic eschatology?
It's crazy.
It's very, very important. Yeah.
I don't even know what eschatology is.
The Vedic thought has spread across Europe and America to New Age practices.
So that
In due time.
get better at
in coming decades.
Upgrade. Okay, let's lock in.
There's not a lot of time.
Enough to move history. Okay,
Tough.
so one thing I want to clarify is that the way I teach
Better not pick any of these up.
I see learning as a journey. Okay?
Right.
So when I teach, I'm asking
more of a-
questions. I'm
more of a
trying to
journey.
work out the answers myself. So it isn't like I know all the answers, and then I'm giving you a glimpse into my mind. That's not how it works, okay? I myself am working with certain assumptions. I'm extending it outwards in order to form a more general understanding of the world. So this is a very simple way. So another way of saying this is, I don't know enough about Vedic eschatology to comment on it.
No, that's so Chad. He wrote the book on Vedic eschatology, bro. I promise, bro.
Eventually, I will make a trip to India and learn about Vedic eschatology. But right now, I don't know enough about it.
How soon, Scrooge? How soon?
Is that maybe in the future, India will play a very important part in geopolitics.
Probably.
I hope it does. But right now, it doesn't. Okay?
Debatably.
So Israel, America, Russia, Iran are the four major nations that I'm studying right now. And so
I don't know.
I want to expand
don't go here.
outward. So first I want to understand
We're doing good.
these four nations, and then I will expand outwards to include India as
Got
well.
a name her.
So
They grabbed
it's
him.
not that I am it's not that I don't think highly of Vedic
Steve.
eschatology. It's just like I don't know enough about the comments on it. This is from
Again.
That's me. Nakshatra Stati.
what are you and your family doing preparations for what is coming when the world seems to be
That's hilarious.
Energy price, food shortage, AI to say, bring it on West. My wife is here. We have 3 kids.
That's
And
actually
the answer
GA.
is we're
actually
focusing
GA.
on loving each other as much as possible. My wife and I spend most of our time talking about our children and thinking about how to make them happy. Because we believe our children
I don't want to get
can be imaginative. But
cheap
all we're
upscale
trying to do is make
TikTok
sure
like this.
enough
Hardware.
house
No new accounts.
and the time with us so that the strength to surmount
Balance prep time was
Grind
balanced.
it up.
Okay, so our strategy is
sense,
not to make $1 billion and build a bunker,
TikTok should
and
be
then hope that we are safe in this bunker. That gets you nowhere. Our strategy is
Logos,
saving our
Karka.
children.
Logo.
Understand that once our children grow up, it's entirely their choice how to live their life. We will not
TikTok, YouTube, just actually, I'm pretty sure they're getting that
our
thing, whatever.
responsibility is to make sure there is love as much as possible. Okay, so that's where our priority is. Number 2.
Wow, I can't believe my phone.
You mentioned U.S. will introduce stable coins in China, and the U.S. will do everything it can to keep USD valuable. Does that mean gold is no longer a safety haven or store or valuable like for hundreds of years?
I sure.
Gold. I don't buy gold. I don't even want to buy gold. Okay.
I rob it to wander.
That
I don't have a lead.
you're using money in order to buy things to solve everyday problems.
What type
Gold is a store of value. Because you obviously can't use gold to go to the convenience store and buy a pot of water. That's just retarded, right? So if you have a lot of money and you have no place to put your money, then you should put it in gold. The problem is, imagine a world in which there's a lot of
no retrograde planets.
when there's a lot of chaos.
Capricorn Sun is a retrograde planet. Prove me wrong.
Well, your problem isn't how much money you have, because the value of gold is going to go down in value.
Oh, right. So only when I buy. Only when I buy.
How do I maintain my faith in myself? How do I have the strength to surmount the psychological turmoil of chaos? How do I find the courage to go work with other people in order to rebuild a new world?
I forgot what you
So
need.
it's really about spiritual energy as opposed to material wealth.
Reishi?
All right, number 3.
Reishi upscale.
You will mention there'll be a depression after all the petrodollars, but then you mentioned China and other countries to purchase gas in the U.S. so that people will keep buying U.S. debt and relying on the U.S. dollar. Do you see an economic depression happening worldwide due to the downfall of U.S. dollar, or will this crisis be averted due to the U.S. forcing others to buy its gas? Yes, I did mention the United States has a strategy of forcing the entire world to buy.
Lakshmi knows nine, yeah.
I didn't say it was going to work. In fact, I probably said it was not going to work because when you do something like this, when you try to control the entire world and force it to do its bidding.
Don't do that, bro.
It's basically blow up in your face.
Literally.
Okay? So, yes, in theory, if the United States forces the world to buy its oil, then the United States can maintain the petrodollar. The problem is that the United States is doing this not for national interest. The United States is doing this in order to promote the interest of certain factions and interest groups within the American elite. Okay? That's a very important distinction. The people in charge don't care if there's an economic depression.
Oh my God.
An economic depression just means that you can buy things for really cheap. Okay? It also means that you can enforce an authoritarian state upon the nation because people will be desperate. So they're doing what they're doing in order to obtain more wealth.
Oh, party foul.
So Trump is doing what Trump is doing, not to save America, but to help his friends.
That's on me, bro.
And once you understand that, then you understand there's no, just because they're going to do this, does that mean the United States will not collapse economically? They don't care if the United States collapses economically.
630.
Number 4, I'm from New Zealand, which is a country that's not been mentioned in lectures, although all your charts seem to show that New Zealand will be quite badly affected by the Iran war. Do you see New Zealand joining NATO in the fight against Ukraine? I read news that billionaires are building bunkers in New Zealand. Does that mean we will be somewhat safe from future conflict? Or New Zealand do the best my children here? Okay. New Zealand is an interesting, because New Zealand is very much like Canada, literally owned by the British. So the resources, their wealth belong to the British. And so what's happening in these countries right now is a corporate restructuring where the population is being replaced. Right?
I was using Chunkbase to find the
and so they're importing millions of new immigrants, primarily Indians, but also a lot of Chinese, a lot of Filipinos, to replace the population. Because in a time of economic decline, you need your colonies to perform better. Right? So I don't see New Zealand participating in any wars, but I do see New Zealand, the population being replaced by immigrants. Okay? And this will probably lead to a lot of civil conflict in these places. Right?
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
From Demi.
Nikshatras to these planets and Nikshatras.
You mentioned how
Rahu.
your parents play video games.
Rahu in Uttara Bhadrapada, K2 in Hasta.
For a younger man who feels aimless,
you can do your own Pada.
Want to get back on spiritually productive.
Fortune in
Okay, this is a really hard question for me to answer. Okay. Yes, it is true that in my late 20s, I was very depressed. I felt that life was hopeless. And I feel as though you have to go through stages like this in your life. So it's not something to be avoided. It's something that you'll have to suffer through. And when you hit rock bottom, you instinctively or you intuitively understand that I need to move on in my life. Okay? So during this time period, what I did was I engaged in a period of self-reflection. It was like questioned my assumptions about the world. I went to Yale University, and after I went to Yale University, I thought the world was meritocratic. It was logical. That if you work hard, if you have talent, then you succeed in life. And then after plowing through life in my 20s, I had many years where I became very depressed, and I just thought about my own life, and I recognized that I need to have a better understanding, a more nuanced understanding of how the world works. This led me to the journey that has led me to today. Okay? So failure is not something to be ignored or avoided or to be feared. It's something to be embraced. Okay? Don't fear failure.
Oh, yeah.
If there's a work that has had the most influence on me these past 10, 20 years, it would be Dante, the Divine Comedy. Okay? But that's very hard to read. So in mid-June, I will teach a 2-week seminar, line by line, post-meeting of Dante's Divine Comedy. And what I'm hoping to do is inspire people to engage in their own self-reflection and to think much more deeply about their own purpose in this world. Okay? And hopefully this will help people.
I know it doesn't stop the spawn. It's just too dark, bro.
I don't disagree with the notion that AI is an occult project, but I find it curious similarity between what you call a cult and the sentiment of courage that the scientists or innovators must have in pursuing the development of some revolutionary technology that they truly believe is a benefit for humanity. I don't disagree with it. I think that if you want to be a true scientist, your imagination must involve their cult.
Couldn't agree.
Like Isaac Newton was. You're not interested in like creating a patent or an invention that will make you $1 billion. You don't care about that. You want to know the mind of God. You want to change the world forever.
Wow.
That's what leads to tremendous inspiration and imagination. Your lecture on the Empire of AI, you interpret the core computer field 0 to 1 as an invitation to start a secret society to access a cult.
The bones are there.
I don't necessarily disagree with your interpretation. I would find similarity between the passage you both feel and another book called The Hero of 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell. Exactly. So all these heroic figures in history, they all have similar characteristics. They all believe that they are on a mission, a secret mission from God, and they must create a movement around them in order to advance humanity. Yes.
I know how to set up an enclave on YouTube, but it doesn't make sense to post TikToks. It makes more sense to post YouTube videos until I start seeing TikTok.
I see your point, King. I see your point.
Society, world dominance, religion, and AI into one basket. Then I point out that all innovation is a cult in nature. I completely agree with this. You have to understand a cult if you want to be innovative. That's why I teach it. And the cult is agnostic. Whether your intention is to access it,
sweeping edge, I need sweeping edge.
To access so I'm also dominate the world. Exactly.
I got thorns. I'm not scared of none of y'all.
Free will means you could do evil. It doesn't care. Okay? Doesn't matter.
Perception blitz.
And it just happens that the most visible tech forces
I need to sit up.
Dominate the world. This is exactly correct. Okay? So people who are truly innovative. There's a diversity among them. But the people who succeed are those who are most aligned with power and control. Okay? So you love making money, then guess what? You'll be successful. But if you want to help humanity, guess what? You won't be successful. Okay?
What?
So there's almost like a direction.
Infinity. The infinite gap is infinite.
Almost like a right away to power. So people actually agree, like, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Larry Ellison, they'll be much more successful than people like me, who's much more interested in educating people.
Oh, my elbow's so
That's the reality of the world we live in. But the thing
I've no milk, bro.
God wanted this way. Because only by giving us complete free will.
That's why I built that little staircase.
Right? And
now advanced before becoming, bro.
What I'm doing, unless there are evil people like Mark Zuckerberg doing what he's doing. All right. So
I'm in with the wall, bro.
All right. So
you're that good at noticing.
What's important is the free will. All right. So,
both of us. You're right. Literally. That's what I'm saying, bro. That's why I have no patience, bro. No patience,
Question from 21U American male. Do you believe an American draft is still coming, Professor Young? Many young American men follow you, and those who are willing to take drastic action are left wondering what direction to go. If a draft is still coming, is it worth leaving the U.S. this summer? Do you have any general decision advice for young men? Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I do believe the draft is coming. What? I believe that the draft is coming to many countries, including Canada, Australia, Europe.
Guys, I think I have bones for
the draft is to fight a war. But you think about it deeply, the purpose of a draft is to reorganize society in a certain way. So in America today, what do young men do? Well, they buy Bitcoin. They gamble,
buy low and sell high, bro.
OnlyFans. They don't want to work because the pay is too low. And this is
actually took an econ class
for the country. Young men go to college, and for 4 years they drink beer and watch football games, and they don't learn anything, right? So you have this huge social problem on your hands that young men aren't contributing effectively to your economy. So what you do is you engineer financial crisis, like the Great Depression, so that you're forced to work because your parents have no more money. And then you have an actual draft to teach you skills that you will need in order to find the economy, okay? So a draft doesn't necessarily mean that you go to war. A draft just means that you work for the government for like 5 to 10 years. And it's possible, like, they train you to be an engineer in the Navy. Believe it or not, but the best education you can possibly receive is often from the military, because unlike schools, they're incentivized to actually teach you something useful.
It's all ROTC upscale.
For free. So,
what you know about that?
A draft is something that they need in order to basically train young men to be effective contributors to the economy. And it's something that many countries will adopt as well. If you just let young men do whatever they want, they're just going to play video games, spend all their money on OnlyFans, and gamble everything on Bitcoin. Okay? And they don't really know anything useful.
Is that true?
So this is a huge problem, and that's why they need a national draft to fix this problem. So should you run away if there's a draft? I told you there's no place to run to, okay? Either you go to nation with the draft, or you go to nation with worse problems like famine, okay? So, I mean, what's important is to recognize that the world is changing. We're not going to go back to the old world.
I didn't say that.
Things are not going to stay the same, and so you must embrace change, right? A national draft means that if you're useful, they'll keep you alive. If you're not useful, they'll send you to Iran where you'll die. Okay?
I didn't know how the shaka placement.
So make yourself useful. Read books. Learn skills. Work hard. Okay, that's my advice. I'm sorry you're so blunt, but that's the world we live in, okay?
All right.
John Zach says thank you. Well, thank you, John.
Bro, IRS.
All right. Can you read well, Alan?
Professor, what is your take on a Kaiten AI designed to bypass the false optimization minimum of human extinction? Instead of forcing a stereo piece, it would optimize for minimum conflict energy and maximize creative collaboration by structurally limiting the harm capacity of non-empathetic actors. Could such a framework successfully steer humanity's historical trajectory toward healthy, constructive competition without violating our autonomy?
Yeah, this is a great point. It is possible for AI to do this. But the question is, who's going to pay for this?
Right.
If you're a billionaire, the reason why you invest in AI is to...
This is still the rules, by the way.
To extend your power and your wealth. And that means to control people better, right? So you're not going to create an AI system that means you don't need government anymore. Government's going to invest in this in order to have more control of people. Okay, so that's the issue that we face. The reality is that AI is very expensive. You need trillion-dollar data centers in order to run AI effectively. Okay? All right, can you read, Alan?
Who's the blogger?
Thank you for your work, Professor. An upcoming multipolar world order, do you think the general populace, especially American, is prepared or even capable of making the mental shift and understanding just how much the world is shifting? Or is this something the next generation will only understand?
Yeah, this is a great question. And unfortunately, the reality is that most people will not be able to make this mental shift, especially older people. That's why most people are going to die. You're not able to make the shift, you're going to die. Okay? Because you'd rather die than reality. And it's unfortunate. But a lot of problems will come from the fact that the world is changing. People deciding we need to make changes to adapt to this new world. For example, if there's energy shortages, that means we need to share more. There's enough energy to go around, guys, but it needs you to share more. It needs you to make personal sacrifices to make sure that your neighbor has enough to eat. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of baby boomers who are millionaires. Now, I'm not saying that all baby boomers are millionaires, but I'm saying that baby boomers who are millionaires, they're extremely selfish. They're not going to want to make these changes. They're not going to want to pay more taxes or give up their $1 million mansions so that the world can be better. Okay? And we know this because if they were going to do this, we wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. So a lot of problems are going to come to the fact that you have people in power who will be stubborn, who will be too old to change, and who will be silent in resisting change.
Can't jump over a block.
Keep on going.
Hi, Professor. Can you tell a story about one of the times you felt really connected to the monarch, and what insight did it give you? Love the lessons. A big hug to you and your family. Take care.
Great. So there are many instances.
More of a tank build. It's more of a tank build, bro.
But when I teach, I feel connected to the monad. It's a very strange experience. But, the first time I started teaching was when I was 20 years old. I was in China. I was not a very good teacher. But when I'm teaching and the students are learning, I can feel them learning, I feel as though we connect back to the monad. Okay? The most gratifying experience I have is when I teach, I see students edified by the teaching, and I see students learning. Okay, that is direct connection to the monad. When you love someone, like I love my wife, I feel connected to the monad. When I hug my child, when I have a newborn, I hug my newborn for the first time. That's connection to the monad. So the monad is with us all the time. It just, do we choose to connect with it or not?
You need a popsicle before I drink green tea. Otherwise, I'm not
then you can easily connect to the monad. Connection to the monad is the greatest happiness in the world. So moments of greatest happiness in our world are when we hug someone we love. Okay? When we care for a friend. Your friend is sick and in the hospital, but you spend 2 weeks just by the bedside of your friend. Is that a feeling of pain or pleasure? I think for most people, it's a feeling of deep pleasure that you're helping someone, that you're contributing to the world positively. Okay?
Oh, Mark.
All right. Keep on going. Yeah.
Professor Zhang, many discussions around AI focus on surveillance, government control, censorship, and manipulation. But what if that is only the surface layer? As AI, social media, algorithms, governments, collective emotions, and human consciousness began recursively interacting with one another, it feels like we are entering an era where reality itself becomes fragmented and amplified simultaneously. Not just fake news, but entire emotion and psychological ecosystem shaking how different groups perceive truth, identity, memory, and meaning. In the future, do you think humanity risks losing a shared consensus reality altogether? And if so, what anchors human consciousness when billions of people are each interacting with different AI mirrors trained on different values, narratives, and emotions feedback loops? At that point, is AI merely a tool of civilization, or does it become part of civilization's evolving consciousness itself?
Okay, so there's a very famous Canadian media theorist named Marshall McLuhan. And his famous saying is, the medium is the message. The idea here is that the medium itself, whether it's radio or television or the internet, it shapes the way you perceive yourself and the world. So look at ChatGPT. In theory, ChatGPT is supposed to enhance your imagination because ChatGPT is able to reduce the grunt work, right? It's able to provide you a lot of information, and then you're able to build on top of information. But in reality, what happens is that you become reliant on ChatGPT, and you lose.
Guys, I'm so upset about my armor training.
Why doesn't? So why is that? The answer is the monad. What makes you smart? What gives you your creativity? Is your constant connection to a monad. So if you shift your focus from technology and away from your intuition, then you're gonna lose.
Like something of value.
Okay? But
to be on screen.
why we have ChatGPT, why we have AI is it's a way to structure your thinking in a way that allows the powers that be to control you better. All right? Okay, so remember this idea that all technology in a way increases your connection.
I forgot.
Therefore, all technology is bad in a way. Doesn't mean it's useless, but it means it's going to deepen your connection to the monad. What changes your connection to the monad is
let me do this.
Other people. Okay? And yourself. So if you really want to be creative, you really want to understand humanity, take long walks from the park.
The water so I don't fall.
Read a lot of books.
A little birdie told me
that
this is a great place to Mahas to be.
Question. How do you define beauty, and how should general public members pursue beauty?
I got bailed out because I'm live.
Beauty is...
You smack my dome on that.
Okay? Beauty is connection to the divine. Beauty is a glimpse into the divine. Beauty are the sparks that are permanent throughout the world.
Poetically.
Okay? And so beauty are experiences that change you for the better.
When's your birthday?
Because they shock you into a new reality. And so beauty would include the great books, Homer, Dante. It could include an experience that you have that forever changes you. Okay? That's how I would define beauty.
It's not my Q zone. It's not my Q zone.
Great to be part of this. I have several questions. Please pick whatever you like.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Let me just pick one random, okay?
Feels like I don't need But I came into your.
What happens if Saudi Arabia says I'm building a two pipeline? No, well, you know, then you have to blow it up. Okay, guys, it's a desert.
Well,
okay, you have to build things in the desert. It's pretty easy to blow things up in a desert. There's no place to hide. Pipelines are very easy to blow up.
Every day.
Because there's a lot of energy inside, right? Just a ballistic missile,
only job I
thing is blown up. All right?
Then I can't get monetized until my community.
All right. Let's go to.
I think right now I'm my only community.
What's the difference?
You have discussed Pax Judaica many times. The idea of Israel as the center hub of a new regional order. But Pax Silica reframes Israel as merely a node in the broader US-led technology and supply chain architectures, not the dominant power. What is your take on Pax Silica?
Okay, all right. So,
you can't choose what
Pax
you believe.
Israel is at the center of the Middle East. Okay? Pax Silica, the idea is that artificial intelligence, backed by silicon, is the new world power. The problem with Pax Silica is that it's really a trade network. Now, trade networks are often very, very fragile. Trade networks require cooperation of different nation states to maintain that coherence. And what we know is that power comes from the nation state. Okay? So unless you have a nation state back in Pax Silica, it's not going to work. So you can say that behind Pax Silica will be Pax Judaica. That's a possibility. But then Pax Judaica is in charge, okay, not Pax Silica.
I want an alignment,
right? So the idea that you can have an independent, autonomous trading system to produce AI, it can't work. Right? Ultimately, you need a nation state to back it with military power, with resources, with people.
Material goals.
Right? Okay, let's move on with Isaiah.
Awesome day, John and wife. Thanks for the love you have shared together to create such treasured content and family. I'm going to list some topics and cues, and I'd like to know the most important things you'd like to share about each one you choose. 1, unconditional love. 2, the good side of Kabbalah. 3, non-dual awareness. 4, fertilized crisis.
Sorry. So I'm sorry. This is like way too long. I appreciate the question, but this is going to take too long. Okay. So let me just look at the top 2. Unconditional love. Unconditional love is something that once you achieve, it changes you forever. Okay. And you basically achieve unconditional love when you have a child for the first time, because you have to love your child unconditionally. Because a child is about experience. Okay.
So we are
because of Kabbalah, there are many good sides of Kabbalah. I don't understand why Kabbalah is put in such a negative light. But Kabbalah, it's a very powerful way of understanding the world and forces you to think very deeply about your place in the world. Look, the reality is that if you go to American University, there are 2 ethnic groups that are pretty dominant in academia in America. They are the Indians and the Jews. The Indians have a Vedic tradition, the Jews have a Kabbalah tradition. This is not an accident, okay? If you want, if you really want to be creative, we've said this in the past, you need to understand the occult. The Kabbalah forces you to wrestle the occult and recognize that beyond the material world, there are these deep mystical questions that can guide your life. And by dealing with these questions, not only will it help you better understand your place in the world, but they will also advance your own scientific inquiry.
Where do I put my waxed ox? Okay. That's why I had an auto sorter, but it puts all my. I didn't keep my tool chest far enough away from it.
Just read this. My question is, what do you think?
Yeah. My question is, what do you think of the Yuga cycle? And according to universal laws, why do institutions like the Roman Empire to exist? The Kabbalah speaks of Earth being a centrifugal forge, essentially the Earth being cycles upon cycles upon cycles, Fibonacci sequence, samsara, etc.
Okay, all right. So this is a really important idea where for thousands of years, humans have come to an understanding, which is the world works in cycles. You rise, you fall. You live, you die. There's summer, there's winter. There's nothing you can do about this. What is hubris? What is stupid? What is arrogant? It's to believe that you can stop history. You can end history. and that can only lead to destruction. Okay?
The bones
so that's a
are
world we live in today where it is natural for the American
Just
Empire
because I don't know if I had already said that yet.
and to go away. That's just human history. That's a cycle. But they're suffering because the American Empire refuses to go away. It refuses to die. And therefore, we must suffer.
Oh, the vampire.
Okay? But there's nothing
not all
that you
bullets
can do about this. The more you resist, the greater the pain, the quicker the fall. Okay? And this is something that all religions teach us. The life cycle. Okay? Saying that empires decline is the same as saying that an earthquake is coming. Okay? Can you stop an earthquake coming? No. You just have to prepare for it. An empire decline, same thing. It's a natural cycle.
Come on.
Okay? All right.
Denise Richards,
This is from Sarah.
At all, bro.
They noted I'm very interested in the live streams. I hope it is the basics for the school you would like to build up. I'm going to be present, thinking of good question for the last class. Thank you.
Great. So, yeah, exactly. I'm very excited about our first live stream, which is scheduled for next Sunday at 9 a.m. in Beijing time, at 9 p.m. in New York on the East Coast. I understand that
this is
many people will not be able to participate in the live stream, especially people from Europe. Okay, but the idea is that we'll change the timing of the live stream as time goes by, okay, in order to accommodate more people. But Sarah is absolutely right. I'm doing this in order to form the basis of a school community. And this is all an experiment, but we'll try the first live stream next Sunday, June 7th. Okay? So I'll send a note to all founding members that we will be doing this live stream as an experiment. And then after a week later, we'll do a live stream for all paid subscribers.
As the 10th house.
All the live streams will be eventually uploaded to my YouTube channel, so no one will miss the content. But for doing a live stream, only founding members or paid subscribers will be able to participate. Okay. All right,
are even better.
Hello, Professor. I want to begin by saying your lectures have given me an honor.
Sorry, can you just go through the question?
Okay. My question focuses on the takeaway from Danton's Divine Comedy and the great books, specifically the argument that we can only move closer to the divine, unlock our imagination, and find the motivation to achieve greatness by directing our love toward another human soul. How does this framework account for individuals who find this exact same spiritual and creative awakening through non-human subjects? For example, consider someone who grew up isolated, without supportive parents or an interest in romance, but who formed a deep, fond attachment to colors, sounds, or concepts. If their intent painting, music, sports, or technology provides the exact same drive and beautiful imagination, can that abstract devotion serve as an equivalent path to the source? Are they not adding to the imagination of the universe and expanding it as well?
Okay, this is a really good point.
Haven't you heard that it's always
say that the way to activate our love, our connection to the monad, is by connecting with a person, by loving that person unconditionally, like a child or a mother or a partner.
Might check my YouTube.
But what if you are, for a reason, alone in the world, and you are nonverbal? You express yourself through colors, and
probably not polygon.
You can still connect the monad. The monad is still in you. Okay?
It's like,
and you're right. There are a lot of people who are like that, like Vincent van Gogh, who produce tremendous artwork. Okay? So the point is that anyone and everyone can produce great beauty in the world because of our connection to the monad. The question is, as a society, how tolerant, how generous, how loving are we? Okay? The more generous, the more tolerant, the more loving we are as a society, the greater our creativity. And so the example I use would be autistic children in schools.
I'm trying to render.
I have researched autistic children.
Produce an audience,
not that different from you and me.
I want to hang out with Emma.
They just have limit emotional regulation, meaning like they make noises in class. But teachers don't accept that. It's like, no, if you're making noises in class, then you
Guys,
are
what's the difference between a manifester and a manifesting generator?
Okay, so that's the society that we live in today, which is extremely intolerant, which is extremely selfish, very individualistic. And so if we're truly to love every child, then we need to change, transform our society that is much more loving and generous.
Probably more creepy than mine.
Go on.
Mama.
Universally beneficial.
All right.
Professor, thank you for everything you have done and what you continue to do. In your lecture, Trump World Order, you discuss a potential grand plan being carried out by Trump. From my understanding, you believe that the failures of the U.S. in the Middle East may ultimately lead to a decline of the U.S. empire globally, but the rise of the American nation in this scenario, U.S. will be forced to retreat and return focus on the Americans where there is an abundance of natural resources. Being forced to retreat, the American global empire is hurt significantly, but it may be better for the actual citizens of America. By focusing internally, America will stop overextending itself abroad, which will actually help the country. Do you truly believe this is Trump playing 4D chess, or is this just a lucky result where America basically stumbles into success in the Americas? Is there an unknown party behind Trump that is driving him to make these decisions?
Okay, Trump is not playing 4D chess, okay? Trump is stupid.
Sorry, these guys are getting robbed, bro.
In American politics, where he's trying to get a third term, okay? That's what he wants.
What's the best way to break pay?
The idea that Trump has a grand vision to make America great again, that doesn't really work, okay? What America is doing, what it's doing is this is an empire that's being staged in decline. An empire would prefer to control the world through soft power. And this is true for the past few decades, where America could control the world through Hollywood, through newspapers like the New York Times, through an image that America is a benevolent power, okay? And for a long time, that was the case. But now that the world's turning against America, America has no choice but to use force to make people obey its will. When you do
Sometimes
that,
when people laugh at inside jokes, I feel left out. You know?
Okay, so this is not about America's shifting strategy.
But you're
making
invited to
America
all
great
my
again.
inside jokes.
This is about an empire in decline will always use force in order to maintain its advantage over the world.
It's more of a boost.
The problem with this is that once you leave the world, once you retreat back into your own territory,
They're boobs. Guys, they're boobs. What do you not understand?
Become internalized. So before, the conflicts could be projected overseas.
I hear you.
Okay, to reduce the conflicts internally. Once they
I know they use their beds.
they're forced to fight each other.
Holy crap.
Okay, and who's the people behind Trump? Was the people who want to use American power in order to promote their own interests. And this includes oil companies like Exxon. This includes Silicon Valley, who want to create an AI surveillance state. Okay, this includes the industrial complex that wants to expand itself.
Still planning.
Okay.
That wasn't even cancer, sir.
Okay, this is from Carlos.
A lot of conceptions that I hear in your classes about social economics and materialism remind me of Karl Polanyi thoughts. Do you know his writings? Are you inspired by him in some way? Do you think China was some way able to surpass its elite corporations of the Western model and achieve some fair wealth distribution and energetic transition? Is China's elite also ruled by secret societies?
Okay, so certainly it's not more of a secret society, it's ruled by certain families. Okay, this is very different because families don't have eschatology, they have bloodlines. Secret societies do have eschatology, meaning there's less energy in China. China's just interested in maintaining the status quo, where secret societies are interested in achieving certain eschatologies.
The Capricorn and the mermaids.
Will China be able to surpass its elite cooperation of the Western model? Achieve some fair wealth distribution and energy transition? No. Okay? No. China is on decline. And this is something that cannot be averted. Listen, I personally think that China is a historical accident.
Can you hear me? Is this thing?
Okay, there are many things about China that should have been destroyed a long time ago. but because China has been historically isolated from the rest of the world, China has been in East Asia, protected by the sea, the mountains, Great Wall. It really was not in competition with the rest of the world. Okay, so I'm not really that optimistic about China. Okay, Mark?
That's gonna be the point.
Yeah, Professor, thank you for your lectures. They have shaped the way I think and approach new things I learn. I recently wrote an essay on Serbia that develops a model I believe may resonate with some of the things you teach. If you happen to have the time to read it, I would be honored to hear your thoughts, especially on whether the framework feels coherent and useful.
Okay, so this is from Mark, and I did read the essay, okay? And the essay is about how Serbia can try to navigate, negotiate, and balance the different powers that surround it, including Russia, including Europe. And it's a very interesting point. The point I will make is that if you really want to know how resilient a society is, don't worry about how carefully it navigates diplomacy, okay? Just ask yourself 3 questions. Is this society energetic? Meaning, do people in the society work hard? Do they take work seriously? Second is this society open-minded? Meaning, is it willing to learn from its mistakes? Is it willing to be humble and innovative? The third question is it cohesive? Meaning that there's a coherent ethnic identity that binds people together and makes them want to sacrifice themselves for each other, okay? If Serbia answers these 3 questions, then Serbia, no matter what it does, will have a good future.
In a way, but also,
okay? I don't know enough about Serbia to comment, but those are the 3 questions you want to ask. And everything else is not really that important. All right, this is from Wild Entity.
Why are people obsessed with games? Why are games such a useful framework for understanding ourselves and our world? Can a game still be considered a game if it has no limitations, only players and incentives?
Yeah, this is a really interesting.
The Calvin ball can be a game.
Question. So I use game theory as a way to frame human behavior. Okay, but it doesn't necessarily mean that people that's are themselves using game theory. Game theory just helps me make certain predictions about the world. Okay, that's my first point. My second point is
should I keep recording my front-facing
is a way for us to socialize with each other.
I think it's good to have a view so I know what
I don't know what it is, but we live in a world in which status really matters. But this is not always been historically true. So you go back, a few thousand years when most of the world was actually matriarchal. Okay? That was not a game-based society.
Josh, some more questions.
Matriarchal societies tend to be very cooperative. And it really,
I want to know whether or not,
what
your favorite.
Now that we
Luke the Notable thinks I'm a cheater.
What should I keep doing? What should I do more? What should
I hear you, bro.
Maybe not what I should do less of. But what I should do more of.
So
tell me what
games are the natural state of humanity. They're natural state of humanity for now, but not in the past, maybe not in the future.
If you comment something that I think should be deleted, you probably offended somebody else that isn't.
Professor Zhang, thank you again for your lecture and your broader work on civilizational strategy. One thing I appreciate about your analysis is that you take seriously the psychological and historical stories societies tell about themselves, not just economics or military capacity. Lately, I've been wondering whether a lot of modern geopolitics is really about preserving civilization meaning and legitimacy. Americans still depend on the story about liberalism, freedom, and historical progress. China depends on the idea of national rejuvenation after humiliation. Russia sees itself as a civilization with a spiritual and historical mission distinct from the West. Iran draws on Kabbalah, martyrdom, Shia, and older Persian memory through the
one of my ratings is my
really high.
So my question is, how do you think civilizations can tell when their founding narratives are still helping them remain coherent and reality-oriented versus when those same narratives began insulating them from reality and pushing them towards self-deception?
Okay. So I think that the best civilizations
in the background,
some civilizations are those that have stories that are universal, that they connect with other cultures. They transcend time and space. And that's why these four particular civilizations, America, Russia, Iran, and Israel, are so powerful. These are stories resonating across time and across space. America is one fundamentally based on the individual to pursue his or her ambition, right? Russia is about community, tradition, orthodoxy. Iran is about sacrifice, about eschatology. Israel is about covenant, about history. And these themes resonate throughout time and space. And that's why right now we're seeing a conflict among these four different traditions to see who will win. It's not really clear to me which story will ultimately triumph.
My personal favorites.
Francisco.
Hello, Professor.
Sorry. You know what?
Guys, what's a basin?
Okay, so the question is,
in the flag.
Is there a fine line between stories that unite and stories that maybe blind you from the larger reality?
Come on.
And I know this is going to be strange, okay? But my intuition tells me like the more cohesive the story is, the more it's able to transcend time and space.
I'm playing roles in the background.
What's really interesting is, let's just say
enrichment circle.
the entire world is destroyed tomorrow.
You know what I mean?
Is that true?
10,000 years from now, humanity rebuilds itself. Guess what, guys? You have the same narrative, the same story, the same conflict.
Universally beneficial.
Freedom.
This is all
and
good.
tradition.
This is a great
between history
all these
and the
videos
future.
are for me.
Okay?
But they're
this is
for
what
you.
humanity is trying to work out.
I don't know where. Honestly, listening to my videos on repeat, and then I woke up
this is like
40 hours. I don't know. I saw my watch time hours go down.
A fundamental question about the pattern on the global perspective, and one that intrigues me concerning the issue of civilization. Other videos of the past about history, from the evolution of humankind and the tragedy of writing to the patriarchal shift and suggestions that the Indo-European victory brought about, as well as the expansion.
Sorry. I was trying to multitask.
Given this,
I don't believe in multitasking. Full
are the
disclosure.
benefits of civilization and empire, or are they inherently evil and anti-human?
Okay, so all right. So a major problem
you dingus.
with how history is taught, how we think about the world is we apply labels to things, okay? Like good, bad, beneficial, not beneficial. That's not how history works.
That's a world record.
History works in
I think I looked
cycles.
I don't
rise, fall, up and down.
Other
civilization
was in like the high 20,000.
Okay?
Lock myself in a
There's
box.
nothing good or bad about these.
Story of my life.
Earthquake. We don't say it's bad. Is it good? Is it storm? Is it good or bad? It is part of the world we live in. So stop assigning values and labels to these things, except that there's a pattern to these things. And our role, our purpose in this world is to navigate this pattern, to take our own individual meaning in this world.
I think that's world
Okay? The world can come tomorrow.
There's no Mars can render whatever he wants, bro.
Be a good parent, be a good neighbor.
I really want to know.
And focus on what you do individually and don't give labels to these things. Is America good or bad? America is America. Is Russia good or bad? It's just Russia. Okay?
Beat a really high score.
Just keep that in mind.
But I don't know. I just got.
What about their measures?
There's a possibility that there are more nation-states with culture and popular cohesion that can effectively combat the international capital elites that we imagine. For instance, Iran is an extreme case of the resilience. But recently, Spanish Prime Minister and South Korean President have been vocally criticizing Israel's anti-humanitarian actions. Assuming that this is the case, do you see your predictions more or less unchanged, or do you think they need to be corrected to be less extreme?
This is a great point, okay? Yes, I do oversimplify
like a capture card and stuff.
like my analysis. What is extremely complex? There's like a million data points you can choose from. I choose from like a few.
Figure out
okay? You're exactly right in that. I need to feature more factors, more possibilities, and more data points. And I will in the future. It's just like what's really important for me is to first build a framework, a skeleton, and then work from there. And that's why I do what I do. Because you want to start a framework. Your framework allows you to make good observations. Don't be too concerned about being factual. This is an argument I'm going to have with a lot of people where, you know, like, I'm so obsessed with making predictions that I'm not very factual. Well, what's important is to first build the framework, okay, the skeleton, and then build from there. Whereas if you just focus on the facts, it doesn't really get you that many places. Okay? So you have to write that I need to insert more data points, and I need to make my arguments more nuanced, more subtle. I will do
my YouTube channels. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channels, I'm probably not going to do you a favor.
Professor Zhang, your game theory approach consistency drives toward a coherent conclusion of U.S. decline, Chinese vindication, Iranian resilience. In the spirit of the brutal skepticism you ask for, what specific 12-month outcome, concrete and falsifiable, would prove your macro thesis of structural U.S. decline wrong?
This is a great question. I want to thank you so much for this question. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Okay? Yes, because I'm always looking to invalidate my theory. So what I have in the next 12 months that would
speak deeper.
Right, true.
TikTok.
Very scary.
I can't really predict what happens. It's possible the U.S. midterm will surprise me in a way that will have to change my prediction.
You didn't like my
I don't know how it will surprise me, but
literally, bro.
Literally. Die tomorrow.
Are you kidding me?
Not the Carcass. Carcass love that Carcass.
I didn't know.
If somebody died tomorrow, that would change the entire world.
Bro, what's with this
very hard in the United States.
The army wants
what's with this production?
Who was as charismatic as Trump. Who was revolutionary as Trump.
March.
Then I would think that my entire world would be wrong.
March 1st, bro.
How many hours on the platform?
That America could rejuvenate itself. Unfortunately, I think the most populist party in the United States right now is the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party were to say, you know what?
Guys, can it pass just have this many totems of undying?
That I think would be the greatest thing in the world. Okay? Will it happen? Probably not.
You're either a cheater or...
Is there a prediction you made in the last 18 months that contradicted your directional thesis? Lately, cyclical history models, Athens, Rome, tend to project present onto the past to pattern March. How do you account for drastically different inputs today, AI labor displacement, climate change, space race, etc. in your model? What's your confidence that our current transition is a historical analog via truly uncharted?
It's easy to point at potato, right?
Okay. But the question is,
I'm going to continue.
do we believe that we're in the age of humanity,
part of history,
where AI should lead us to a new future?
Takes away my trishula.
Or is it possible that we discount the complexity and the sophistication of ancient civilizations like the Athenians and the Romans? Is it possible that they also have technology that they thought would be life transforming and which would allow them to transcend history? I think that it's much more likely we ignore the sophistication of the past and overemphasize our own sophistication. There's something about AI that tells me that we're heading towards a new future. I think AI is just another hocus pocus hallucination meant to fool us in media.
Mayan
And there might also be an alien invasion, okay? There's nothing really about the world that we live in that I think makes us distinct from...
Four wither skulls?
27.
Okay, from Dan?
I'll be telling you guys about the 27 thing.
I've watched every single one of your videos over the last year, some of them 2 or 3 times. I'm curious as to why there is nearly no mention of white supremacy and structural racism woven into historical and contemporary analysis. Quite literally, I do not think the words white supremacy have been said once. Does geopolitical game series supersede white supremacy and structural racism? Do the latter function more as a tool of domestic management of nations?
My feet are going numb. Senator.
Do you view them as identity politics more so than pertinent issue of our times?
Okay, so supremacy does exist. Social racism does exist. I know because I grew up in Canada. And if you grew up in Canada,
you're allowed to talk shit. I just think people say they want to talk shit until I'm ready to talk shit back. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I'm leveraging
why these things exist.
It's like, oh, it's like we can't talk shit. Well, you can't talk shit without getting prepared to get shit talked back to you. It's like, what? That's why I like talking shit. That's why I like it when people talk shit. That's why I like it when people talk shit, bro. Let me get roasted. Let's talk, please. Let's talk.
White people were in charge. Everyone wanted to be white. And you got the rise of China. You have the rise of the multiple world.
Potatoes, where's my nephew?
Countries, the United States, Canada, Europe, they became much more decadent, much more corrupt. And then they started to see the white supremacy decline relative to other
I'm super grateful.
And they didn't like that.
And I know sis.
Okay? But I don't like the white supremacy because that's not the root of the problem. The root of the problem is imperial arrogance, hubris, civilization. Okay?
No,
so,
I want to get paid.
I mean, would Chinese supremacy be better than white supremacy? Would Japanese supremacy be better than white supremacy? I don't necessarily think so. It's just like,
so for you, babe,
it is right and good for us to cover
before you pay.
And to think that we should be, that we are superior in many ways. That's what often leads to cultures to greatness. Okay, so there's always going to be
it's because of NPC theory.
And this is what leads to
NPC theory.
Okay, so yes, white supremacy does exist, but again, I don't think that's actually the root of the problem. The root of the problem is that people want to belong in community, and people want to believe that their stories in this community are more legitimate than other stories.
They're all true, okay?
And to ask people to just be completely open-minded and be non-racist, I think goes against human nature.
They're just different channels.
All right,
use them for different situations.
John?
Hello, Professor John. Thanks for all that you do. I have a layered question. You talk about Plato's caves a lot, and it mostly makes sense to me. But I get a little confused about the illusion part. Is the material world itself the illusion, as in one's own the device on which I'm writing this?
I'm not talking about Minecraft.
Or is society with its arbitrary rules the illusion? As if these things aren't real, why do they impact and influence us on such a deep level? Thank you again, Professor. I didn't think I was very interested in history or geopolitical speculations until watching your courses. So I'm very grateful to you for letting your truth and your family.
I'm not disabled. I'm just a little unaware.
Yeah, okay, so first of all, society is complete illusion.
That's what I mean. Yes, illusion of being
you're just taught nonsense. You're taught all this illusion. Okay. What allows society to function is the fact that which are illusions. Okay, so the point of school, the point of media, the point of culture is to make you believe that these illusions are real. And you want them to be real because if they're not real, you can't really function in society. Okay, so that's pretty obvious to people. Okay, the social rules are just illusions.
Actually, honestly, I went a while without getting it, and now I get it.
Once you
I went a while without getting it, now I get it. Honestly,
recognize these illusions. They're illusions. These taboos are just illusions. It allows you to better navigate society. Okay. So last semester we talked about Frankism. Take a Frank. That's what he teaches his followers.
Creepers gotta die, bro.
It's just an illusion.
Whatever.
Okay, do whatever you want. And once you are able to enforce your will on other people, you can achieve what you want because
I'm thinking
are just surrounded by illusions. Okay, they don't yield what they believe in. So it's very easy for you to impose your own illusion on other people.
This is like Lakshmi Cooper mantra.
That is real. Our heads, our eyes, these are the illusion. But that's not everything we appreciate. Okay? That's why we see societies. That's why there's mystery schools in ancient Greek. Because to convince someone that
that's actually
your
pretty
mind
sad.
is more real
That's
than
pretty
your
sad,
head, they're insane.
Wait, I'm gonna
now, when you're able to make this divine or mental leap, your entire world changes, okay? Now you're able to access good things too. Really. But the reality is that 99% of us will not be able to make
there's a class
this
lawsuit against YouTube and there's
realization, okay? To discover for yourself that, oh my God, it's my consciousness.
Manifest destiny.
So real. But everything I see around me, the third world, this building, this money, this wealth, it's all just okay? Right? I've been able to do so.
I don't think they get us. I don't think they get a jump boost.
It's hard.
Okay? And no class action lawsuit on it?
Hello, Professor John, a new subscriber here. Looking forward to reading more of your geopolitical analysis. I wanted to ask, are you going to maybe cover the future of Europe and Balkans in one of your analysis? It is a region that was the most unstable in Europe, at least in recent history. When talking about the big players, you also mentioned how the smaller regions and sub-regions relate towards Russia, China, US, like South American, parts of African, smaller Asian countries, etc. Recently, China has been kind of using Balkans as an entry into Europe with their infrastructure investments. Right after Trump's and Putin's visit to China, President of Serbia also visited China and received a medal from Xi, and only 12 other leaders received. Also, the visit was on the headlines of Chinese media too.
Okay, yeah, so exactly right. The Balkans has historically one of the most important and volatile regions of the world. So the Middle East is probably the most volatile. But the Balkans are also very volatile for very similar reasons, okay? One reason is just the geographic necessity of the Balkans. It is an access point to many continents. Second is the conflict in the area. There are many different religious groups fighting for control over that area. And the third is the historical animosity built up over the centuries of conflict. So we can expect that the conflict between Russia and Europe will converge again in the Balkans.
Hopefully,
but I don't know enough about the area specifically. Okay, I was expecting a major conflict to rise in that region as a proxy war between Russia and Europe.
Even better servers.
But the specifics, I don't really want to discuss, okay? Again, in the future, what I want to do is explore more of the world and really try to understand communities in this world. Okay. All right. Keep going.
If Tucker Carlson left Fox over the 2020 election domination trial and you say Maduro was captured to testify that they helped trigger the 2020 election, what did you and Tucker discuss off air after he got emotional? Thought on Larry Johnson and other CIA agents and boomer analyst criticism toward yourself. And I agree, your great books list is great, but more sources and any channels you recommend would be great. Since you draw or are tapped into a similar vein as simulated Levinden in regard to the links between Hollywood and AI. Thanks again, Professor. Love your work. Looking forward to seeing your next chapter. Best of luck.
So, I was on to
even in Monster, there's infinite people with my birth chart that no subscribers.
I think that he is an American patriot. I always admired and respected Tucker Carlson, even though politically we don't align, okay? We and I will disagree a lot on politics, but I admire the fact, I respect the fact that he loves America. He's fought very hard to
I'm like,
protect what's best about America.
I hear you.
Especially its civilization, especially its culture. He's been very consistent of that. Okay, and so for a few minutes, when the show ended, we discussed the fact that American culture is being erased.
Yeah, I mean, there, March 29,
the very essence of American civilization, American great, was really Christianity and European civilization. And because of DEI, because of immigration, a lot of this being eroded. And that's a very bad thing for America. I agree with that. So
I want to chat for Christmas.
Is that he's been very principled in his viewpoint. He's been fearless and courageous in fighting for what he believes in, including maintaining civilization, which is Christian and white and European.
No help is coming, bro. I know.
Very consistently anti-war. And that's cost him a lot. In fact, he's taught that because of his anti-war stance, he doesn't believe that America should be fighting this war in Iraq. If you learn about getting arrested.
You could cook up.
Okay, so I think I've always admired the person. I think he's extremely courageous. Man, even though we don't agree. I know that Larry Johnson, another man I've also heard a lot. He has criticized. A lot of people have criticized me.
They want to die, bro.
Intention to criticism. Because I don't want to be a YouTube star, okay? I don't want to be a social media influencer who spends all his time arguing with other social media influencers. I want to be an educator. I want to teach people how to be themselves. Okay, but I don't involve myself.
And I'm talking deep because I swear when I'm editing these back, I can't.
I admire a lot.
Okay, I'm sorry. On the last Bali video, I put all the boots and rolls to like 400% on the Bali video.
Okay, the fact that he doesn't like me, the fact that he criticizes me, doesn't really impact the way I perceive him. Because what I care about are opinions. Okay? What I care about is analysis. And I sort of like ignore personalities.
Shout out to Short.
All right. Julian?
Thank you very much, Professor, for your lectures and for understanding our world, universe better. My question would be about your theories that secret societies don't understand that they do conspiracy theories in the game theory 26. The concept you used in that lecture I find very interesting. But more interesting would be when you add to this concept the fallen angels, reptiles, giants, dragon, lost Asian civilization, Tartaria, etc. All these conspiracy theories together to predict our universe.
Look, okay, there's a lot of things I don't know. Okay, I'm very interested in the idea of lost ancient civilizations. They must exist. Okay, it doesn't make sense to me that we only have like 10,000 years before the human history, but we've been around for 200,000 years in our current state. Okay, our current mind, our current mental development. We've been around as part of humans for 200,000 years. So there must have been other civilizations in place. Okay, you look at the Amazon, you look at the Grand Canyon in America, you look at Antarctica. There's reason to believe that there have been other civilizations before us. Okay? So I'm very interested in that. I'm very interested in the concept of fallen angels. The Nephilim. Okay, there might be some interdimensional reptiles and what. I'm open to these possibilities, but right now, I'm talking about evidence, discussion. Okay, I'm very much my own ability to discover the truth. And I'm open-minded about these things. Okay,
Hi, John. You said multiple times that Israel and Japan will dominate their region. Israel will achieve the Greater Israel Project, and Japan will rebirth from its ashes. The Greatest Israel Project, if I understood what you said in your lecture, I didn't rewatch your lecture, so it's based on my memories. You guys will launch a ground invasion of Iran. They will lose. In the process, both the US and Iran will be destroyed. The GCC will be destroyed, and two, since it is just a creation of empire and it's not sustainable, CENTCOM will be transferred to Israel. So the last player available is Israel. Okay. But how can Israel achieve its project if Iran annihilates Israel? For example, by destroying desalination plants or energy infrastructures, etc., Israel has nuclear weapons, so it can use it, but Iran can build 10 to 20 of them in a matter of weeks. And we don't know the full capabilities of Iran. Well, we can see what the US and Israel are capable of. We can also add that Israel is energetic, as has high fatality rate, etc., but it doesn't really matter if the country is wrecked. So I'm perplexed about your take.
Okay. I don't understand why Iran wants to destroy Israel.
Yeah.
Iran wants to survive. Iran wants to remove the United States from the Middle East. Iran wants to unite the Muslim world. Those things make sense, but why would Iran want to destroy Israel? For what purpose? I don't understand that. Just because of animosity? That's not how geopolitics works, guys. Okay? That's basically a very specific reason for why Iran wants to destroy Israel. You know what's happening? Iran is directing most of its attention against the UAE. Why? Because the UAE, from the Iranian perspective, it is an abomination, okay? It is sacrilege, what the UAE is. It is demonic, okay? The Iranians hate I think the people in the UAE far more than they hate people in Israel, okay? And the Americans. So I don't understand why Iran would want to destroy Israel. Also, why would Israel want to use nuclear weapons against Iran? For what purpose? Yes, I understand that if Israel were to use Iran could kill nuclear weapons and then go to Israel. But why would Israel want to use Iran? Israel wants to weaken Iran, but why would it need to use nuclear weapons to weaken Iran? Wouldn't you be better off destroying reservoirs, railways, energy infrastructure? Okay? I don't understand what the purpose of a tactical nuclear weapon would be. Okay? Now, people discuss the possibility of using tactical nuclear weapons to destroy underground missile bases. Yes, but there are lots and lots of underground missile bases scattered throughout Iran. You don't have enough nuclear weapons to destroy these missile bases. Okay? So I don't understand the logic of this. I don't believe Iran cares about Israel enough to commit suicide. Okay? If you go against Israel will use nuclear weapons against you. Why would Iran want to cross that line? It means the destruction of the civilian population. Okay? And then Israel doesn't need to destroy Iran. Israel needs to remove the United States from the equation and then deal with Iran at a later stage. Okay? It wants to weaken Iran to a point where Iran has to spend a lot of time rebuilding itself. And so my argument is that if a war between Iran and the United States reaches a point where the United States is forced to send military ground troops into Iran, it's going to destroy both places, both the United States and Iran. The only person left standing will be Israel at the end. Okay, that's my argument. I still maintain.
Is there a difference between Israel and Israel?
2. Japan as a most dominant force in Asia. In one of your lectures about South Korea, you said that the country will collapse because of its low fertility rate. But it is the same for Japan. The population is old and the youngs don't want to make children. The most dominant industrial power in the region is China. Okay, China is an hallucination with low fertility rate, obsessed with money, no
I understand. Okay, all right. So, when I make predictions, I look at several factors. One factor that I look really closely at is resilience. Okay? So, if things are the same, yes, I understand China will dominate, Japan will decline. But the thing about history is that there's always change. There's always cycles. And if the world is heading towards disaster, which I think it is heading towards disaster, I ask myself, which nation states will be resilient in that the people will most likely stand together and make changes necessary in order to overcome this adversity. And historically, it's always been Japan. Okay, Japan in the 12th, 13th century was able to survive 2 Mongolian invasions. 19th century, when they were being invaded by the Western powers, they underwent the Meiji restoration and became an industrial power in about 20, 30 years' time. After World War II, when they were completely destroyed by the Americans, they came together. We changed their political and industrial system. Before they had something called the Zaibatsu system, which is basically monopolies, industrial monopolies. After World War II, they got rid of those things. They ate the rich, and then re-industrialized. And in about 20, 30 years' time, they became the most advanced industrial economy in the world. Okay, so the Japanese have a history of resilience, of making changes when their survival is threatened. That's why I think that Japan will probably do it again. Where I've not seen an instance of China being resilient. Okay, I have not.
Okay, come on.
Okay, keep on going. Last question.
Thank you, Professor, for all the lectures you posted. Also, honorable mention, the YouTube algorithm that managed to draw a lot of us in the beginning to create a critical mass of viewers to start the hype. One question, if you would need to move permanently to another country in the next 6 months, what would be your top 10 and why?
Very cool.
Okay, first of all, I would not make any changes lightly.
That isn't this
I would
guy.
prefer not to move
Many Americans
unless I was entirely sure that there's a better option for me. Okay?
This guy said my
say for the reason, well, I have to make the move. Where would I go?
I'm on you.
Well, the countries that come to mind would include Botswana in Africa. Because
Really?
it's like
My retrograde Mars carry,
everywhere. It's a pretty stable society, okay? So Botswana is something to consider. Then you have Chile in South America. I would consider New Zealand, possibly. Malaysia. Okay? So these are 4 places I would consider. If, for a reason, tomorrow World War III breaks out and Europe is on fire, America's attacking everyone, America's Civil War, there's a lot of conflict in East Asia between Japan and China, who knows, okay? All right? Okay, so that's it for the founding members, and that took us a lot of time, guys, okay?
Really did?
So I'm gonna try to do some YouTube questions for another 10 minutes, okay, and then we'll break because it'll be impossible for me to get through all the YouTube questions. All right, okay. So this is from Story Live. Space. What is my theory of space? I personally don't think space matters. I personally don't think we'll ever get to the moon. I don't think we'll be able to find asteroids for resources.
They're good.
I think society will
I hear you, but like, I hear you.
more
That's
quickly
such a technicality.
than you assume. Okay?
You wouldn't think that because
You don't have
you're
the
like super.
energy, the resources to go conquer the moon. Okay? I think the space race is all just an illusion. Space race, AI,
Oh, that's what you mean.
inundation, they're all just lies.
I thought you were talking about, like, concepts.
I pay no attention to the space race. And this is strange because I grew up watching a lot of science fiction. I love science fiction. I read a lot of Isaac Asimov, Ray Bradbury. I watched a lot of science fiction like Star Trek. Okay, I love that. So,
About that, bro.
all right. Can you explain India's position in this chessboard of Assault convergence?
Remember.
India. Look, again, I don't know enough about India to make predictions.
Dancing
But
on my
I will say that politically, India is a very sad position because it has a large population. Its political system is very chaotic, and it's very resource constrained. It doesn't have that much resources. So my prediction for India.
Where was I going to put that?
But eventually, I want to visit India and study myself the strengths of India.
We feel safe.
Why do you think the people of Israel have been constantly been expelled from 109 countries over the course of history?
Something about a
The
Capricorn.
Israelites say it's because everyone
Something about a scapegoat.
but is that really true?
Guys, the Aryan race, the whole thing with the Aryan race is just astrological, bro.
It's the issue with the kids. Okay, so this is actually a question that a lot of people
It's all
I think,
Cancer upscale,
are
bro.
really interested in. Okay, so let me spend some time to explain what's going on. So the Israelites have the Bible. The Bible commands
Follow me on Instagram.
will. And over the course of history, most Israelites have been in the community, the Christian, and
Shout out to Dalen, bro. Dalen knows how to do Instagram right, bro.
and a lot.
I'm just gonna copy Dalen. Just gonna copy Dalen.
Or this abandoned
Actually optimal.
Judaism because
Guys, figured it out. Just copy Dalen.
to join the elite.
The best and most
So
perfect thing to do.
it's only been a minority, a very small minority, that has kept the Jewish faith alive
What should I talk about?
over
Are you stuck? You're not
the
stuck.
centuries.
Let's
As
talk
you
about
Drop
imagine,
blocking right there.
these people are fanatical. Okay, so imagine like this a
Deep
small
saying
community.
Okay, it's not my fault. It's not my fault that there's a cut. It's not my fault there's a cut. I don't take responsibility for that.
I push it, placements.
And so the real problem is like how do you endure?
I'm thinking 20.
Because their faith is so that what matters is their faith in God. They're the chosen
I gotta
people.
use freaking. I'm not using iMovie. I'm using.
How can they endure as people?
I use Final Cut. I'm an amateur.
And so what happens?
Yeah, wait. It's all amateur found or it's all confound, bro?
And what I mean by that is they made a deal with local nobility in exchange for being able to practice their faith. Okay? The deal often it goes like this: nobility will hire them
Taurus.
as subcontractors to manage their wealth. The Jews are diaspora. Okay? So what they're really good at are trade and finance.
Ghost.
Also, throughout most of human history, nobility were not allowed to engage
I'm
in
not
usury.
supposed to.
Okay? Why? Because usury led to often the destruction of society. And when you collect interest on debt, the debt often multiplies to an extent that no one can pay it off, which often leads to a revolution. But the problem is that usury was the most profitable enterprise you can engage in. Okay? So what this really is, which is very clever, is say, let's let the Jews go do it. Okay? So the Jews are not allowed to own property, go to school. They're
Because
allowed
I don't want to live if I can't be honest.
Okay? So this is a deal that a lot of Jewish communities made with European nobility. As you can imagine, it's going to be a problem because when times are good, that's
Screw
fine.
it, bro.
But when times are bad, people are going to get angry. And who do they blame? They blame the Jews, right? Because it's not the nobility that's quite.
Look at all these trees. Holy crap, I can fill up my
The
just chop wood the rest of the time.
They are chosen people, so they set themselves apart from you. They live in their own community.
My chest
their
still
own
need to be
religion, and they think they're better than you.
I should have been chopping wood this whole
This is going to
time.
lead to a
I
lot
was
of
doing
conflict.
like that.
So again, when times are good, it's fine. When times are bad, the Jews always get
Forgivingly.
And again, history goes in cycles. And so whenever there's a bad time, the Jews get expelled from a certain location and they move elsewhere where they restart again. But they don't really care because for them, their mission is to endure, keep the faith. And over the centuries, they've learned certain
Topless in the
of
ocean.
how to endure. Okay? And a lot of this is basically segregation. Where they keep themselves separate from other people, and they basically think that other people are dirty or whatever. I'm not saying all Jews, but like they have these traditions in place in order to endure.
Gunpowder away, yeah.
All these strategies are very extreme. Okay, and unfortunately, we're seeing the same.
The ashes of the anguished fallen.
To get in this world where anti-Semitism is now a very common thing around the Western world. Okay, not just because of what Israel is doing, but because of certain cultural practices of the Jews.
I hear you, bro.
That said, I have tremendous respect and admiration for the Jewish people because they're first and foremost intellectual people.
Exactly. Literally, it's because they value open debate.
Alright. Which benefits of the modern world? What were you studying if you were at the crossroads of life. Okay, one advice I give people is ignore AI. Okay? If you're a computer programmer, you want to master AI, to become a billionaire, you're going to be disappointed. If you really want to prepare for the future, read books. Okay?
Oh, yeah, I heard.
Read the great books, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to read the great books.
Plural.
Because the skill that you
we can eat. Look at guys. Read.
critically,
Awakening to reality.
Think deeply about the world. By reading books, you can
Wake up to
reality. Monologue. Sorry, inner dialogue with yourself. Okay, and that's going to make you much more
Bro, come on, dude.
So my best advice is, it doesn't matter what you study, what it does matter is to read books.
Populate an island. That's like how you can populate an island.
That's true.
With an invasion. Lionfish, you know,
I want Proof to talk about what advices he would give to his kids in the situation. We are going to collapse and the whole system is going to change. What advice Prof would give to his kids how to prepare themselves for upcoming situations and show how well you prepare your kids for the new word. I would be delighted to hear Professor's answer to these questions.
Okay, so every day I will just tell my kids 3 things, okay? And that's all I have to do. Okay, first thing I would say is like, I will always love you. No matter what happens, I will always love you.
Get the memo.
I will always love you. If I die, I will still love you. Okay?
I'm going to sleep.
Just know that. Wherever you go, whatever you do, I will always love you. I will always be with you. Okay? That's the first thing I tell my kids. Second thing I'll tell my kids is, I believe in you.
It's supposed to be about baby.
Meaning,
Acting.
whatever you do,
Good loving baby.
just believe in yourself.
Acting shady.
Okay?
What's that supposed to be about, baby?
All right. And the third thing I would say is,
my Mars is retrograde.
Not boundless. Wrong card.
Kids understand these 3 things, okay? That their parents always love them, no matter what they do. That their parents believe in them. And their highest mission in life is to believe in themselves. They'll be fine no matter what.
I can't wait for
So it's not really about what university you should go to. It's not really about how many you have. It's really about how you perceive yourself, your place in the world. And I want my kids to always believe that no matter what they do, no matter where they go, their parents will always love them.
So
nice.
I'm gonna not try to
Good parent moment.
My question for the final exam is, if an AI civilian state is the end goal, why is there such a negative feeling in the general population for AI? What primary social, political, or game theoretic factors drive this public resistance?
Guys, I'm conflicted.
And how does it impact the trajectory of AI development?
There's such negativity towards AI because everyone knows what the purpose of AI is. The purpose of AI is to make you, as a human being, worthless. We don't need anymore.
Produce
robots. We have AI. Okay? And human beings want to feel they're part of something. Human beings want to feel valuable.
Oh, that's what I was
Human beings want to contribute to the greater good. And AI is a system designed to make you redundant.
I'll think of it.
You predicted U.S.-China grand bargain, where China absorbs Americans' 39 trillion debts via stablecoins, the Genuine Act, to maintain the global USD hallucination. However, you also taught us that the U.S. grand strategy is to embargo Malacca and use 21st century warfare economic strangulation to force Beijing into submission. If China is already a fragile hallucination with collapsing consumer confidence, while American strangulations can accidentally trigger a total collapse of the CCP, how can Americans extract wealth from the Chinese consumer and their own choke point strategy destroy the Chinese state?
Okay. So this is a really interesting question. Okay. So I'll make some certain comments. The first comment I'll make is that if you're an hallucination, you don't you're an hallucination. Okay?
Maya, Thomas.
Technically, this may be true, but the players don't know that it's true. That's the first point I'll make. The second point I'll make is that in a game, Your objective is to win the game. Now, by winning the game, it may cause the game to collapse, but you don't care. The point is to win the game, and you use whatever tools you have in order to win the game. It's possible that the U.S.-China trade war will end up stopping both nations. But that's not the point. The point is to win the game. Okay? The point is to win the game. The point is to win the game. Sometimes winning the game means destroying yourself. It's committing suicide, basically. That's my second point. The third point I will make is that
my mom came up to me.
Thank you.
I followed her on Instagram.
China and America, they need to engage in sort of struggle in order to.
She was acting like she wasn't actually curious what I was going for, but she was like, the tone was like, what was that, bro?
That they have to deal with. So, for example, if you're going to Trump, you want a grand bargain with China. There are a lot of people opposed to this because they think that China is a great threat.
Oh wait, do I need
any attack of China means selling out the American nation. Okay, so you need to engage in certain conflict and warfare in order to dissipate or reduce domestic tension in order to advance a deal. Okay? Does that make sense? So I understand it's a really dangerous game they're playing, but welcome to geopolitics. This is the way the world works. The people in charge are psychopaths. Because in order to win the game, you have to be a psychopath. Okay? Think about.
No, I said something. Sounds like I might have said something.
Well, Israel is respected. China is respected. North Korea is respected. The Republic is respected. Why? Because they're all crazy. These people, as it agrees on, is they could, if threatened enough, they'll press a button and book the world. Okay? That's what they can respect this world. The crazy you are, the more you're doing fun. Okay? And that's why the games they're playing are crazy. Will Steve then world? Probably, okay? That's something I've been teaching you guys for a long, long time.
I've never seen this movie.
The game they're playing is crazy. It's going to lead to the end of the world. Alright. We're going to do 3 more questions.
Shout out to Coach K, man.
We can be here forever, okay? But we'll do 2 more questions and the examination.
Explain that American needs an AI surveillance state operations Stargate to manage domestic rebellion against a coming national draft. You also noted that the current global civil war pits transactional capital against an alliance of nationalists, the church and tech elites, Trump, Phil, Musk. But if the tech elites are using Masonic, a code philosophy to build an aristocrat Antichrist technate that strips human free will, what Trump's fiercely armed Christian nationalist base eventually realize they are being enslaved by the exact system they are fighting for. Won't the technate trigger a second American Civil War instead of preventing it?
Yeah, this is exactly right. So, a civil war is going to happen. There's many different factions.
I'm making me sponge and salivate.
Why this war will happen. But one reason is that there's no resistance toward an AI surveillance state. This is exactly right, okay?
Any more oak?
And
Misfit.
And there's really nothing anyone can do right now to stop the civil war.
Oh, come on. Why would you drink beer,
in this recent lecture on Putin in Beijing, you noted that Vladimir Putin
wants if Martian trying to scare you, he just wants you to be celibate.
It means acting as a junior partner to China. However, given Russia's fierce historical emphasis on absolute sovereignty and its self-imagined as the third Rome, can Putin's strategy genuinely survive a long-term future where Russia is economically subordinate to the Chinese elite that fundamentally prefer that American was hot policemen? What is Russia's exit game if China chooses a divorce?
Yeah, this is exactly correct, okay? The Chinese don't trust the Russians because the Russians are extremely nationalistic. There's Russian supremacy. Right? Even though Russia will pretend to be a partner to China, the Russians believe they're superior to China. And a lot has to do with the third Rome eschatology that they have. So if there's no wars, can Russia survive economically? The answer is yes. It doesn't need time. It just needs to fight wars. Because if you think about historically, how a nation got well was by conquering other nations. Okay? So what Russia is going to do is move towards a total war economy and really focus on the conquest of its neighbors, especially Ukraine, but also the Baltic states, and then Central Asia.
Oh, it's full?
Okay, so as long as Russia is able to maintain its internal cohesion and engage in all war, Russia will be fine. Right? Can you already?
Hello, Ms. Jueting. My question is for the final exam would be plainly simple. According to the lecture material, I'm inclined to believe Putin has a grand plan laid out. What would happen if Putin would cease being Russian leader for reason outside of his control? Would there be individual or collective effort to follow same ideology and continue his plan?
This is a great question, okay? So, first of all, I think Putin's going to live a lot longer than people believe.
That's a great point.
20 years.
He might,
He's going to live for another 20 years, okay? We also know what happens when a great leader...
Does he progeny?
It's very interesting.
He might be immortal.
If you look at Genghis Khan.
Liminal impressions dualistically. And
Mohammed.
Reflect.
When they die, okay, there's a pattern that emerges, which is... There's at first internal friction. Okay, so different interests in Russia get together and they start fighting over succession, who succeeds. And then they decide we cannot possibly agree on succession. So what we'll do is we will just go to war with everyone. Okay? To just expand outwards. Russia will just expand out.
Societal impressions efficiently.
Okay? So you have this mass expansion that might go on for 10, 20 years, when it basically conquers everyone around them. Because no one's as interesting as they are. But then what happens, and this is really interesting, is just exhaustion. Where they either lose or they win, but everyone's exhausted and they just decay imperially. Okay? So I myself don't see Russia as having a great future, but this is a pattern that emerges. When a leader dies, there's internal friction, internal chaos, which leads to military expansion overseas in order to reduce this internal friction, and then eventually the empire exhausts itself because it's fighting too many wars at once.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
And that's the fate I see for Russia. Okay, guys. Well, we've been off air for almost 2 hours. We can go on for another 2 hours, but I don't want to because I'm exhausted. Yeah, Vincent.
I think I have a final question. Like, I always wonder, like, why are we born in like by ourselves? Like, why am I Asian? Why am I Chinese? Why am I not a white guy? Why am I not a people? I'm not a person in another place of the world. Like, why are we ourselves? Is this collectible? That?
Yes. Okay. So why are you here? Okay. And so the theory is this. Okay, there are lots of reasons why, but let me give you a basic theory. Okay. Theory is that you come to Earth as a soul. And your soul has a purpose. And the purpose is always to enlighten yourself. Enlightenment. Alright, so you basically over there decide on a purpose. Your purpose would be like, I want to experience being rich, or I want to experience being in love. And you always have a defining purpose that becomes the core of who you are. And so once you have this purpose, then you are assigned to a place in this world that allows you to achieve your purpose. Okay? So you are who you are for a purpose. And this purpose is good. What is good is for you to try to achieve purpose. Unfortunately, what happens in our world is that because of school, because of parents, because of society, you're blocked from knowing your purpose, from truly pursuing your purpose. That's part of the purpose as well, because for you to truly fulfill your purpose, you need to overcome a lot of challenging obstacles. Okay? And once you achieve your purpose, then you understand yourself a lot better. Okay? Then you go back and you're like, okay, now I want a new purpose. But maybe you don't want to
want to stream. I want to stream those
you do it again, okay?
It's an absolute peak.
Right? And this is the idea of Samsara
versus Dalen and just like straight Joker versus Terry's or
in Vedic psychology.
Or whatever card.
So that's one explanation. There are other explanations, okay? But the thing to remember is that you came here for a purpose. You may not remember what your purpose is. We can see what your purpose is. And so what you always do is trust your intuition. Because that's what's going to lead you to your purpose. You're here in this classroom as part of your purpose. I'm here teaching you as part of my purpose.
That's going on.
Okay? And that's a structure of these. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. All right. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of your life.
You here? You a subscriber? You subscribed? Did you make it?
Yeah. Hold on.
You never know this kind of thing, you know? Yeah, that's true. They never have pro Bob it. Alright. Oh, my TikTok. Yeah, Sorry. I'm not talking crap. I'm not talking crap. You're just sensitive. No, I'm nice. Nice. I'm kind.
Kinda.
Just being realistic.
He's kinda kind. Oh, Jesus Christ.
If you get it, you get it. Yeah, follow me on Twitch. I'm streaming One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. I don't spam ranged attacks. I'm a herder.
Nerf herder, bro. Nerf herder.
Using triangle. There's a skill called triangle.
I need a spear for
attack. That boosts your freaking triangle attack, so I'm not gonna feel bad to use triangle. Okay. I'm playing it's like a beat 'em up One Piece game, big strong super character, do cool cinematic moves, not super stressed about
are you gonna stay?
Talk about whatever while we play. Because it's not a life or death situation. Sometimes it's a life or death situation. That's what it's doing. I'm waiting on DLC and I'm waiting on One Piece Pirate. I don't want ball. I want to use rocks.
More of an enrichment circle.
Rocks are so cool.
More of an enrichment circle.
Pandemonium.
Pandemonium. Oh, nice. Way to clip it.
My strength.
Anyone else
doing playing pipe and chiefing Zaw. My biggest weakness, probably.
Karuna said I had a lot of composure. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Nice.
Oh,
good Minecraft episode.
If your account looks freaking fake, I'm sorry. If your account looks fake to me, if it doesn't look like you're a real person, I'm sorry. Try your hardest to make it look like you're a real person. These accounts are so fake. All these accounts are like messaging on TikTok. I hear you guys though. If you're not doing your best to make it look real, or if that is you doing your best to look real, we need to. Yeah, it sounds like you need to watch more freaking enrichment circle. Figure it out.
Get this guy mad, bro.
Help me help you.
That's
me, mom. Sure.
Tangentially.
You should too. Yeah, what's my target demographic?
Taurus because you're urban.
Cool ass fucking Taurus. I'm a Taurus descendant in tropical. I like being tropical. I'm a Taurus. Real Tauruses are tropical as fuck. Real Jastas are Siberia. King.
I heard that.
Leverage July.
50-50 both. Guys, it's diconsiderology, it's quantum, bro. You gotta like consider both.
It's all one pot. That's
charge, bro. Well, you don't get you want to go anywhere big.
Figure it out.
Guys, because make chakras keep
go back. You're time traveler. You're my trade.
Alright.
Triple heavy pull.
I'm gonna have the Minecraft episode.
But I want to spend money on the game. I want to spend a lot.
Happy Thomas, peace.
Full disclosure. I don't care about people who think there should